Oh. 10 points off for obliviousness on my part.
Okay, this is the subtitling versus dubbing panel, and we have representatives from U.S. MangaCore, U.S. Renditions, myself from AnimeCon, Mr. Carl Minchek for Streamline Pictures, and another gentleman from AnimeCon translated to my house. I think we're basically going to start off by giving our various philosophies of the subtitling versus dubbing continuum, and then open it to questions and debate. So we'll just start from the end there. Well, no, we like to leave the best for last. So we'll start with the worst first.
Was this ever working?
It needs to be adjusted.
Rubber good ears, well now.
I've been playing tech all day as it is.
No, we've tried it both ways.
Can you tap it?
Hello?
Yes, there we go.
Hold on, keep tapping it.
Carl?
Keep tapping it.
No, not Carl.
Tap, tap, tap.
It's gone. It's gone. Boisterous.
Hey, it was a shout.
Shout. You can hear it. Can you all hear it?
No.
Hello.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now it's working.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm John O'Donnell from U.S. MangaCore. We are currently releasing our first several animations, which are Dina Ange Chao, I Give My All, in subtitle. We're releasing Dominion in the subtitled version. We are releasing Project Eiko in November in a subtitled version. The reason we're doing this is because the versions which are coming in from Japan are in the original Japanese. We find that at this stage of the market growth, we're primarily speaking to the fans, the anime fans, as opposed to the Main Street broad stream market. For that reason, we've decided that it's more economically viable for us to put them in very good professional subtitles. And for that purpose, we're using both U.S. Renditions and AnimeCon, who have done our first two, Dominion and Minagecho. And it's better for us to give a quality subtitled version than to do a bad dubbed version. We believe that over the next several years, as the market starts to break out of just a fandom or a cult, if you will, into more of a mainstream market, part of what will be necessary to affect that change will be releasing titles in better dubbed versions. If you want to be, reaching 90% of the American market with a particular release, you really have to be dubbed. If you want to be on TV, you have to be dubbed. So although at this stage in the market we think subtitles are fine, we will in the future want to expand and release dubbed versions as well. But we like the idea that for the collector market we always have that original, so I think that you'll see that even if we do dubs in the future, we will have subtitled versions as well.
Okay, I'm Robert Nampton of U.S. Renditions, and basically we have five tapes out right now that are subtitled. Gunbusters Volume 1, 2, and 3. Dangaio 1, Appleseed, and Black Magic M66. And actually Gunbuster 3 and Black Magic will be out in about a month. And they're all subtitled because basically like U.S. MangaCore is doing, we were targeting the primarily fan market at this point, which is part of what our parent company Books Nippon has been doing for about the last 15 years. But also we recognize that eventually we're going to have to move into dubbing if we want to get into the major market. At this point, I personally, if this is going to be a thing of personal biases, I like subtitling primarily because though it does obscure some of the animation at the bottom, generally you're able to do a more accurate translation than the ADR process, which generally relies on syncing the dialogue to the movement, to the mouth movement, and often to do that you have to radically change the dialogue, which is not something that has been successfully accomplished, I think, up to this point. So U.S. Renditions is primarily focused on subtitling, and with the option of moving into dubbing as things progress.
I'm going to exercise my privilege as moderator and pass it along to Carl. I'm going to speak last.
Anyway, you probably all know who I am and what I do. Probably. I listen to the debates about subtitling versus dubbing with reservation, because I keep hearing that people do not think that the dubbing process, creates quality dubbing. And on certain things that you may have seen that have been dubbed, I agree. And I even agree that Akira, which we released in English, is not the optimum dubbing. My company did not dub that film. That film was dubbed for the Hong Kong market. And interestingly enough, that film was dubbed with the under the auspices of the Akira Committee, and was approved by every major filmmaker on the film, from Otomo down to U.S. Representative, Mr. Mike Haller. So even though you may not particularly like something, or I might not particularly like something that's dubbed, those things are dubbed, and not in a vacuum, and not without the knowledge or awareness of the dubbing by the Japanese filmmakers that deal with them. My company right now currently distributes films theatrically, and I feel that on certain films that are distributed theatrically, subtitling on a theatrical level is completely acceptable because of the size of the image and the content of the dialogue that you deal with in a film. There are rules for those types of subtitlings, and we adhere to them when we do subtitle films. If any of you had the opportunity of seeing, can you hear me? Is this on? If any of you had the opportunity to see the Castle Cagliostro, which was shown, I think, at the Town Theater sometime this week, maybe I'm wrong, but we did play that, and because of a scheduling conflict and the frustration of TMS over the name of Lupin, we were asked to subtitle this film, which we did do, because there's a legal hassle with the name Lupin, and we had to change his name to Wolf as per the instructions of TMS in order to get the film released in the United States. A small sacrifice that one has to pay to see a film. And it was subtitled as a film is subtitled, which is physically burned into the film, or you can do it optically. We had the film done in the previous printing, and we burned the subtitles. To me, that type of subtitling, if you've seen Lupin, is very acceptable to a viewing audience watching a foreign film. I am also releasing a subtitled version of a film called Twilight of the Cockroaches. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but that's a live-action and animated film, and that is subtitled. But primarily what we do is release films in an English language version due to the concept of trying to show a film in a theatrical setting to the largest audience possible. Even though we only make 10 or 12 prints of a movie that we release, potentially we want to reach a large audience and research groups that most people do not want to read films, they want to watch films. I am now involved in doing video comics, which is a sub-business of Streamline Pictures, and it's putting material out on video. And so far we've released 13 titles, and by the end of the year we'll have about 24 titles, and by the beginning of next year we'll have about 45 titles. So we're going to have a huge volume of Japanese animation on the market, as well as contemporary and or even vintage American animation. So the goal from our company is to continually expand the product line, not one a year, one a month, but 3 or 4 titles a month, and really within the next couple of years have about 75 or 100 titles out there, continually build an ongoing relationship with manga, anime, and anything else that we can deal with to really promote this stuff. And I highly encourage all the efforts of all the other gentlemen and companies on this panel to get more product into the marketplace, because that's the only way this is going to happen. The only thing that I have to say about the difference between subtitling and dubbing, in my own estimate, is that all animation, regardless of how it is made, is dubbed. It is all dubbed. There's no way that you can make animation without dubbing. Whether you make it in Japan, or the United States, Italy, it's always dubbed. There is no real sound in a cartoon, like there is in a movie. When Clint Eastwood walks down the street and says something, you hear him talk, you also hear the background noise of the street. Even though sometimes they will enhance that dialogue through the looping process. all cartoons are not done that way. They're done post-dubbed. When you do an English language adaptation of a Japanese cartoon, or any foreign language cartoon, you have the opportunity of stripping away the original language and applying the language of choice for the country that it's going to be shown in. If you have interest in trying to